What's the movie? I just Googled movie news.
What's the
We can check in every once in a while.
Yeah, sure.
Have you seen Blue Beetle yet?
No.
A
lot of the kids at the theater have, and Andy saw it. He said it was great.
Okay.
I don't know if he's as burned out on superhero movies as I am, though. Like, I'm really at the point where, like, it's got to be something that, like, that looks different. It's got to
have like Edgar Wright or Sam Raimi, so there's got to be some factor involved with like somebody that makes it elevated beyond just like your normal kind of Marvel by the playbook thing.
Yeah, or it's got to be Spider-Man.
Or Spider-Man.
If it's Spider-Man, it's cool.
I was just seeing on Twitter like all week like people posting screenshots of empty theaters, like, went to go get tickets for Blue Beetle, and there's like 4 tickets sold total. I think just because Barbie and Oppenheimer were like the conversation
right
for so long that like everything that kind of is left in its wake is just like like, I mean, I saw Talk to Me, that was fun, but I mean every movie I saw, there was like a Blue Beetle trailer for. Like, they were pushing it really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it did okay at our theater.
Okay.
But, actually, the one that I think I'm going to use my employee pass ticket thing on this week is, so we got a limited release, an extremely limited release, meaning one showing yesterday, today, and tomorrow for a movie called Dreamin' Wild. So I think I'm gonna watch that because that's the one that's like the most interesting to me.
It's got Noah Jupe. Where have I seen this kid?
Honey Boy, probably.
I haven't seen Honey. He's in Quiet Place.
Oh, okay.
But I swear to God, I've seen him in something else. Interesting. Is that a...
It's based on a true story. And it's about these 2 brothers, Donnie and Joe Emerson, who, like, made an album in the 70s, and, like, it went undiscovered for, like, decades. And then, like, when they were adults, people found it, and they tried, like, making a career out of it. I don't know too much about it, but I watched a trailer, and I was like, that looks like something that we don't usually get at the theater, and I can see it for free, and it's got some people I like in it, so
yeah,
I'll go see it. So I'll probably report on that next week.
That's really interesting that you mention the story of kind of lost media of someone discovering something years after. I don't know if you've heard of this. Maybe, do you watch a lot of Justin Wang videos or like Tales from the Internet?
I here and there.
There was a band that came on my radar that apparently he did a video about, but it was this band from Nottingham, England, called Panchico. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they had this one song that was called Death Metal, and it was kind of stylistic. Like, it had like, it wasn't like special characters, but it was almost like greater than signs in between each letter. So it was like death metal, but D little sign, E little sign, And it's got an anime girl on the cover, so I almost skipped it because I was like, I don't know. But then I listened to it. It was really interesting, and then it turns out this band put out an album, like they kind of self-produced an album in like 2000, and then it didn't really do anything, and time just kind of passed by, and then someone in 2016 found it at a like secondhand store and was like, this is really good. Uploaded it online, posted it on 4chan. 4chan is basically how this started snowballing. But apparently, even in like the CD liner notes, there was only their first names, so like they couldn't even search like for first name, last name, because one of the dudes was like he's still in music in another band. I think it was called like Swimming or something like that. Another.
Oh, I do know that one.
I think that's the band that he was in. Yeah. Art rock.
There is
band,
a band called Swimming. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2016, this gets uploaded to 4chan. People are trying to find out who these guys are. 2020, they make contact with one of the guys in the band, and basically from then on, they got back together and released an album in 2023, and it rocks. It is
really
so good. I've been obsessed with it like this last week.
And this is that
what's
band,
cool.
This is them as Pachinko again.
Pachinko
Just released one in 20.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll
But
see if I can find that on
it's very.
Spotify.
There's one song on there. It's called "Until Then," and it's described as like top-down highway misery pop. Like it's very much like I could see it in a like a futuristic, like almost like Cowboy Bebop, like driving through the city in the middle of the night kind of vibe. It's really good shit. But I just thought that was so cool that it was like, 23 years in the making. Like they basically, because there's other there's like Looking for Sugar Man, which is this guy Rodriguez who like was kind of put one hit wonder and then achieved fame much later. So
yeah,
that's just what it reminded me of. Just that band that I just like found out about not too long ago. And what's cool is like they released a bunch of demos too, but then on this new album, like all like the demos that they released, literally it's like a guy sitting in a room with a microphone just like kind of hammering out these songs. Those songs, they got back together as a band, and then they released like updated, full fleshed out versions of those demos as like full songs now. So you can even hear like their old stuff basically made new. So yeah, it was
cool.
really cool.
Well, I was gonna mention the Emerson Brothers album too, because I think you would dig it. It
sounds familiar.
Late 70s. It's called Dreamin' Wild. That's the name of the album too. It's a late 70s like pop funk rock type thing. More pop rock, I would say, but there's definitely some like they've got some grooves in there. And based on the cover, I was expecting some like Donnie and Marie Osmond type like pop disco stuff, but it's not really what I was expecting. Like they're in like white sequin like jumpsuits on the cover.
Interesting.
But yeah, also I listened to half of it. I haven't, because I literally had not heard of the movie or the people until yesterday. So I've listened to like half the album so far.
I have it in my library on Apple Music.
Okay.
I don't know when I put this in my library. That's really weird that I've already got this in here.
That is a little weird, yeah.
I wonder, because sometimes I'll just Apple Music just put out like a Discover playlist, so it just kind of goes and goes and goes, and it kind of, we'll try to figure out stuff depending on your interests in recent plays. And sometimes there have been stuff out there that I'll just add to my library. Like I'll hear a song and like it, and I'll just like, yeah, sure, add this. So I wonder if it's got to be one of those instances where like I just heard the song, I liked it enough to add it to my library. So crazy. That's weird. I've already got some of that in there.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, and that there's that other one that you said too. That's just like that shit just happens.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing is just bizarre.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, speaking of bizarre, we'll go with that. Welcome back to ThereWillBeDuds. This is episode 113, and I am your co-host TJ, and with me as always,
You just reminded me that we're not doing that anymore. I am Nick. And oddly enough, Moose is not with us.
Moose is not in the house this week.
But Moose is with us in a different kind of way.
Moose, you're not in the house. But yes, there is a Moose this week in a movie that we watched this week. That movie being The Fanatic from 2019, directed by Fred Durst. It follows a man named Moose who lives in Hollywood, and he is a big fan of celebrities and celebrity culture. He's a fan addict, you could say.
There's a couple lights that are not on in the attic.
That's a way to put it. Yeah. And after a friend gives him a seemingly very obvious and not too obscure way to find celebrities' houses, he tracks down his favorite celebrity, Hunter Dunbar, and begins being a bit too imposing. It escalates. It's kind of weird and not very coherent. There's as to what his motivations are or the likes. But yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a horror movie kind of thing.
It doesn't feel like a horror movie up until the really near the end, where they try to go for some I don't know, A24 real violence.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the very very end. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, you get an hour, it's an hour in and then it's a cut to Devon Sawa tied up in the bed.
Yeah.
I thought of that, the build up, all this silly random weird kind of disconnected things happening up to this, and then hour mark it cuts to the last 30 minutes is just, ooh, this is the horror part, and it was like Megan is Missing. That's what it made me think of. How there's that hard switch to okay, now she's kidnapped and all that stuff, all the bad stuff happened.
Well, before that, it's John Travolta in a police bobby outfit out on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard. The Beatles are coming! He's saying it like Paul Revere is coming.
Doing his best Roger
Jack
Cunningham.
the Ripper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Hollywood, where crimes are made of. Place where dreams are made of. Where dreams are made.
Poppycock.
I was at my parents' yesterday, and I got home, and Misery was on the TV. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was quite interesting timing, considering how Devon Sawa is also near the end tied up. It and that movie really is kind of about a fanatic, dare I say, a parasocial, a fan of somebody who takes it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Well,
I also thought the main comparison I always think of is Stan, the Eminem song.
Yeah.
Because Devon Sawa plays Stan.
I was reading that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Very late 90s kind of rap rocky. We got it directed by Fred Durst. We got the guy from an Eminem video.
Mm-hmm.
John
2000
Travolta
is back.
Yeah. So hot take. I didn't totally hate this, or at the very least, I don't know. It's definitely not a spud for me. I mean, I'm bearing the lead a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't this is the next so bad it's good movie. Mm-hmm. John Travolta kind of puts his whole ass into it.
He does.
What it is, he's going for his I Am Sam, Rain Man, Forrest Gump. I don't know what it is about these aging celebrities that compels them to do a late in their career, like, I'm going to be a disabled guy movie. But this is John Travolta's favorite character that he's ever played.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
What?
He, like, defends this movie up and down. He loves it. He loves his performance.
You know what?
He's a true believer.
Good for him, to be honest. Like, good for him for standing by it. For real.
It is the one thing I think in this movie that makes it at least somewhat interesting and not just another, like, dumb bargain bin movie that you see in, like, those, like, 10 movie combo packs in Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I feel very similar.
It's not a great movie. It's interesting.
No, yeah, it is. It's a very interesting movie. Like I was rereading my initial review when I watched it however long ago, and I said I gave it 1 star, but I was like, I don't really know what to rate this. I could give it 1 star or 4 and I would be okay with it. I'm like, yeah, I kind of feel that. Like, it's not like it is always weird too when we do dud cup movies that are like we have these, and then we have shit like Love on a Leash, where it's like, that's not even a fucking movie compared to this. Like, you know, yeah, this isn't amazing, but it's like, okay, yeah, it has like a story, you know, it's I can watch the scenes, and even if I'm not like totally enraptured by the story, I'm following along, I'm not getting too bored. And then, yeah, you have that central performance by John Travolta that's like, it's really hard to wrap your head around. Like, you're right, he is giving his all, but I'm like, I still don't know if it's good or not. Yeah, like, it's really hard to pin down. It's kind of it's his cage, you know. He went back to Face Off, and he was like, I'm gonna channel my inner Nic Cage and just put that into this.
Yeah, I feel like, much like the character Moose, it is teetering on being offensive.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's there's something uncanny about it where I'm just like, I don't know, should you really be doing this? This seems almost offensive, but it also seems kind of authentic too. And it's like, he had an autistic son. I don't know if that gives him a pass, because it doesn't, I don't know, again, like I said, it's like teetering on offensive, where it's like, I really don't think the lens of the movie is there to mock Moose. It doesn't feel mean-spirited.
I don't think so either. No,
it doesn't really feel like, ha, let's look at this spectacle of a guy. Like, it feels like, I don't know, fair, but he seems like a normal person who is autistic or on the spectrum in some way.
Absolutely. I would say the counterpoint to that, though, is like, couldn't you have just done this and not make him autistic? You could just have a super fan who is just a person.
Yeah, like almost make him like a Nightcrawler, like Jake Gyllenhaal, just kind of very like blunt and weird and uncomfortable, but like, you know, could have worked that way as well. Yeah. I thought it was strange that, like, he's like best friends with like a teenager almost. Yeah. It's just, I think in one way you're like enraptured by the performance, but then like in those moments when you're not, you're like, this dude's almost 70. And he's like walking around with like a Hawaiian shirt on with like a fake mullet and like talking to people like half his age.
That's the one thing that is, I guess, serviced by, I don't know if this is like by him being handicapped, where it's like, you don't, like, it is weird that, like, it's more like, how did they become friends? It's not necessarily like, why are they friends? Yeah. It's like, how did he become friends with this person? And like, if he like the fact that he's like handicapped, you don't really read into like why is this old guy hanging out with this young girl, because there is no like there's no any, like sexual undertones or anything like that.
He's like the least sexual character of all time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, and there's stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of weird things that make this, like, I think more suited for the Dud Cup, even though I don't think it's necessarily, like, on the same kind of level of bad as those.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is hard to rate on a normal 1 to 10 scale, so I'm glad we don't have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt the same way, and I wasn't sure because I saw your 1 star on Letterboxd, and I was like, I wasn't sure where we were both gonna kind of land on it, but being, I guess, more confused and bewildered on how to rate it is better than like one of us just like outright hating it as a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I mean, there are definitely moments where you could probably point to be like, yeah, this movie sucks, like the built-in, like, you want to listen to some Limp Biskit? That's
the best fucking part of the movie. That's the best part.
Yeah, you want to get some Biskit?
That since we watched it the first time, that is a regular saying in our household. Is like, you know, making some biscuits and gravy in the morning for breakfast. You like a little biscuit?
Put on some Significant Other.
Yeah. Like a little biscuit. Yeah, and then he just keeps going. He's like, "Oh yeah, that is hot."
Yeah.
It's so. Oh man, that is so fucking. It's very cringy. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's stuff like that where it's like, "Oh come on, dude! Like, why'd you have to go and do that?" Or,
and did you notice in the star what he says it in such a weird way? What does he say?
The Star Map app.
Star Map app.
There's like a part where like she says it to him and he's like, Star Map app? Like, he says it like one word really quickly. Oh. There's a weird affectation in his voice when he says it. But did you look closely at any of the stars on the map app?
I did. I wrote all of their names down.
Okay,
I was gonna ask you about that. Did you get all of them, or?
It was Jack Torrance. It was Robert Paulson.
Yep.
And Tyler Durden. And then it was the other guy. I didn't know who he was, so I didn't write it down. But like, I did catch the other guy.
I found out.
Okay.
It's Evan Jealous was the other name. And like, who? Evan, one name, Jealous. Like Angeles. And I didn't even think to look up the name. I was like, oh, maybe he just couldn't think of a fourth, like,
horror
fake
movie
name. Yeah. To use
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. But no, what it is, so I found this out by I went to Letterboxd, and then just out of curiosity I went to Fred Durst like director page to see what else he's done, and one of those in particular being The Truth from 2014, where Fred Durst plays an evangelist named Evan Jealous. And I watched
There's that Durst subtlety in action.
Yep, exactly. And I watched it, and it wasn't bad. It's a little mockumentary comedy, where it's him just like he does this big sermon, and it's played up for comedy. Also, Wes Borland, who's also in Limp Bizkit, is in that short too.
Nice.
And yeah, you should see it just for him. Like, he has like long hair. Fred Durst, and he's got kind of like a southern pastor, but he's not like laying it on too thick. And I mean, I'll back you up from what you said last week. He's not a bad actor. He's like the best part of that short. He's like, and he's funny. There's like a part like it feels very kind of Avengers, like our Avengers, where they'll just be like talking to the camera. He's like, yeah, we like spreading the word and spreading the God's love and all that. And then he turns and like as he's talking, one of his like ushers is like sitting there, and he's just got like his belly out, and he just like in the middle of what he's saying, Fred Durst is like, we're really happy. He's like, Dean, put your fucking stomach away. I don't want to see that shit. And then he goes right back into it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what makes me like more endeared towards this movie is knowing that Fred Durst, I think, has at least a sense of humor about himself. Like, I was reading, I don't know if it was like the IMDb trivia or somewhere, but basically, I think no. It was an interview that John Travolta did. One of those interviews where he was kind of defending this movie and saying that it's like his favorite role. He said that he met Fred Durst at like a party because Fred Durst was friends with it was like Joaquin Phoenix. It was like a friend of a friend who knew, and he, it's very Moose-like it seems. He got into a party where he was face to face with John Travolta.
Nice.
And he was basically like, I've got this movie idea, like I want to put you in it. And he was like, yeah, sure, man, like let's make it happen. And then 15 years later he hits him up with this. It was like a while ago.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was in that John Travolta interview or what, but basically Fred Durst was like, yeah, like he's like passionate about directing and film. And he was like I did music as an avenue to get more into like filmmaking. To which I gotta say, A+ for the hustle, but if you want to be taken more serious as a filmmaker, like Limp Biskit being your like musical avenue to get there just seems like an uphill battle to be like taken seriously as a filmmaker.
Yeah, true.
I'm the guy who made that album called the Hot Dog what is it? Hot Dog Flavored Water and the Chocolate Starfish.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like
yeah, that's cool. That's always neat to hear like how many people like are like that in Hollywood, where it's like they're musicians but they're like, yeah, I want to be a filmmaker, or like vice versa.
Yeah,
it's like, fuck you. but it's still cool. Another like less like haha that's weird and more just like more in line of just, okay, this is just kind of dumb and this is why, this is another reason, this is like just a kind of a flaw in it, is the movie opens with a quote comes up and it says, "You are a fan, without you I'm nothing," and then the quote is whatever, quoted to Hunter Dunbar.
Yeah.
And it immediately made me think of, because I saw Oppenheimer again last week, and that one opens with, I don't know if it has like the source of the quote, but it's like Prometheus brought fire to man, and for that he was chained to rocks and tortured for eternity. And it's like, okay, that makes sense to start the movie Oppenheimer, because that's what the movie's about. It's about, it's a metaphor for what happens to Oppenheimer in the movie. It's like, what's the significance of that quote being at the beginning of that? It's just saying,
what's the significant other going on?
Yeah. And plus that it's quoted to a character in the movie that you haven't watched yet. And
yeah, that totally like deflates the context of that scene.
Yeah, because then you get to the scene, and the only reason he's saying that is he's lying to get Moose to like let him go.
Ooh, yeah,
so
that's true.
So the quote means even less. Like it literally means nothing.
Yeah.
It's just,
that's good. Yeah, that's right.
It's just a weird thing. So there's, maybe when I do watch dud movies, I am like hypercritical. Like anytime, I'm like,
sure,
ooh, that's dumb, but that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, there were definitely like dumb things that happened. The narration I didn't think was necessary whatsoever.
Weird.
And
by the,
like
the friends person.
Yeah. Who's just not in the movie for like 40 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Wow, man, really like untread territory. I call LA the city of bullshitters. Everyone's a phony. Whoa, breaking new ground here. And then I guess
it was funny that they used the term
Celebutard.
Considering the lead character.
Yeah, she says it a lot too. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
He says
All
it
right.
too. Moose says it like once or twice too.
Well, that's actually he's reclaiming that, and it's stunning and brave.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about like other things that I thought the kind of dragged it down, kind of just made it less duddy and more into just like a bad, which I guess a dud would be a bad movie.
Right. Yeah.
The plot with Dora, his
Explorer.
Well, that's kind of what I thought of when he said her name. I was like, I wonder if
she's
Fred
Hispanic.
Durst. Yes, I would not be surprised if that's why Fred Durst, like, he, write what you know, and he probably knows Dora the Explorer. But
Do you think when Fred Durst wants them to stop filming a scene, he says it like, "Cut"?
Yeah, it's just one of those days, what was I gonna say?
Dora the Explorer.
Dora the Explorer, yes. Was she just like laying dead in his yard for like 3 days?
I wondered that too.
Because I was like, this can't just go unanswered, and the way that it was answered was infuriating. Because
the ending is so weird.
And the thing about the Devon Sawa character is, I feel like the movie tries to like. I feel like the movie's more neutral towards Moose than it is him. Where Hunter's character, it's like, what? He's divorced and he kisses another woman? He's divorced.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, it shows him, like, trying to be a good dad for his son. He goes to his plays. He, like, goes running with him. Like, other than him being kind of mean to this guy, like, I don't know. I feel like the way that he does react to Moose almost makes you want to think, like, wow, celebrities really are assholes and are just mean. But it's like, a weird dude has broken onto his property like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, I think a little bit of that is warranted. And it's almost like, I was thinking of, like, the stepdad treatment in, like, those 90s movies where it's like, you're not the cool dad, you're the stepdad. So it's like, you have to scorn this character for no real reason other than he's kind of lame. It's like, we have to scorn this guy because he's kind of a dick sometimes, and he deserves to be, like, framed for a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing that, again, on the Dora the Explorer thing, when it showed the other guy, who I guess is her husband, I thought it was an interesting choice, maybe a racist choice, but it's like, oh, he's a Hispanic guy. What do Hispanic guys listen to? And, like, as he approaches him, he pulls his earbuds out. And it's not La Cucaracha, but it's something similar. It's like da 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 da, and it's like, oh yeah, of course that's what he's listening to, because that's the only thing Hispanic people listen to is that.
In their defense, I worked at a factory that was 95% Mexicans, and that's what they listen to.
Well, yeah, okay.
So
Okay,
it's
all
good
right.
work music, It's
Fair point.
gets you pumped up.
Yeah, that's steady BPM, and it's like, yeah, okay, all right.
That I feel like is kind of the main, the Hunter Dunbar character is my, I feel like that's the meat of this movie to me, as far as like a discussion, like what I can really kind of talk about. That's like the biggest like issue I think I have with the story as a whole. And it's not necessarily the performance, it's the characterization and how he's portrayed, because for a lot of the movie it feels like it's just like, how are you supposed to feel about him? Because for a lot of the movie, in the build-up, it really seems like you're seeing like you're watching like the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix one, where it's a guy who just keeps getting beat down, and then he snaps, and the movie ends, and he's triumphant. But it's not like that's a good thing at the end of the Joker. It's supposed to be bad. He's a bad guy. He's a villain. Right. He's a murderer.
Right.
And that's what it seems like it's doing with Moose. Like it's he's this tragic character who turns into like a psychopath, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. He doesn't even like, he accidentally kills her.
He accidentally
doesn't
kills her.
even
Yeah.
mean
He's not a murderer, but yeah.
That's a bloody nose.
Yeah.
That's
that part
a bloody
is
nose.
so funny when he's like, "Are you okay?" And then it cuts and she's just like, like that was pretty good.
It's like, that's a bloody nose.
Yeah, that's a bloody nose.
Are you okay? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's a nosebleed. That's bad.
Need to get Band-Aid on that or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like the first time he runs into Hunter Dunbar, behind the book signing, he's kind of an asshole to him. But it's like he just had that talk with his wife. He's kind of rattled. Okay, Hunter's having a bad day. Okay.
Sure.
And he's done with the book signing, sure. But then, like, the second time he sees him outside his house, and Moose is still like, I just want an autograph. If I was Hunter, I'd still be like, okay, this is weird. But at that point, I would just sign whatever he fucking gives me, because then it's like, okay, maybe he'll leave me alone. But then he still treats him like shit. And then he, like, repeatedly does that. And then, like, eventually he breaks into his house and all that. And then, then you can be rightfully pissed. But it does this weird thing. And again, Hunter still feels like he's supposed to be the victim or whatever. But then Moose unties him in the end, and he instantly turns into a fucking psychopath. Like, stabs him in the eye and shoots his fingers off. And fucking weird. It's really weird. Like, I just don't know how you're supposed to feel about the characters.
Yeah, as soon as it started doing that, like, visual effect when he was, like, talking about
close your eyes and
the sort of, like, kind of very, like, hazy pink, like, imagination colors. He's like, yeah, bud, we're gonna go see a flick, and we're gonna get some ice cream, and we're gonna do, and then he just headbutts him. Yeah, and then I see what I thought, and this is where I thought it was going, but I guess it doesn't really do that. I thought Hunter's intent was to be like, you know what, you love my movies, because he shoots like two shots next to each of his ears, and there's like a ringing effect that happens, and then he stabs one of his eyes. I thought his intent was to be like, you are never going to watch or hear a movie of mine ever again. Because he shoots next to his head, and he, like, grabs his ear, and I feel like he kind of stops and considers. And then he shoots next to his head on the other side, and he grabs his other ear, and then he stabs one of his eyes, and then he, like, kind of stops after he hears, like, Moose, like, crying out in pain. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was going to be, like, his intent was to basically maim him in a way that, like, he'll never see or hear again, so he couldn't enjoy the things that he loves so much.
Damn.
Which is, I think, far more sadistic than, like, what the movie made him capable of. But that's where I thought it was going.
Yeah, that would be pretty nuts. but even, like, I don't know. There's so many other like logical, like, it's just that he's so prone to anger and violence in, like, really weird ways. And again, yes, he did break into your house and all this, but, like, you know what? Headbutt him, shoot his fingers off. Sure. You've incapacitated him, call the police.
The fact that he doesn't call the police, like, immediately
all
is, like...
Yeah.
But
he
maybe...
like, bandages him up and then, like, lets him go, and then he's just, like, praying. He's like, oh, please, God. Like,
yeah.
I think what that ending is supposed to be from his side is that, like, he thinks that, like, when he sees the body getting rolled out, my take is that he thinks that that's Moose. Like, he was worried that Moose, like, bled out, and that's why he was, like, sitting by the door, like, praying, like, oh, please don't die. Like, I don't want this to be on my hands or whatever.
Interesting.
And that's because otherwise, it, like, if he didn't think it was Moose, why did he just, like, let them arrest him and put him in the cop car, you know? Like, wouldn't he be like, wait, who the fuck is that? Why is there a dead body here? Like,
yeah, the fact that it's so neatly tied up seems very much like movie magic shit.
And you don't get any resolution. Like,
yeah, exactly. Because like you see like the other like worker or husband guy kind of give him like a defiant look, like, I know you murdered my wife, which like maybe he was aware in some way of like the affair that they were having, because when he kisses her, she does say something like, oh, we can't do that again, or we can't do this anymore. So it's like sort of implied that that's like a thing that's happened before. But yeah, it's like Moose was posting all of that shit on social media also. Like, his friend shows him the picture that he like uploaded to his Instagram of him kissing the incapacitated like Hunter on the forehead. Like, it wouldn't be hard for him to like make a case that like, yeah, this dude broke onto my property several times, and he also documented it the whole time. And there's probably like DNA evidence of the guy being there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like the implication of the ending is like, oh yeah, well, they're both flawed people, but Hunter's going away for life because he was kind of an arrogant celebrity, and that's what he gets.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you let the if the ending went any more time, then it would just fall apart, and you'd have to like have more, because like as soon as Hunter, he would be like, wait, what? Dora's dead? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I thought you were talking about this guy, and they'd be like, who? And then he'd be like, this guy who broke into my house and did all this stuff. There was multiple people who saw him,
Yeah, his son, like,
I think the guy, the husband of the Diego, no, that's Dora's cousin. That'd be weird. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a little.
It's a little clunky.
A little spotty, a little clunky. And then the ending, like, the scene that it ends on and the lines that it ends on is he's walking down the street. I just think it's funny that, like, you have this ending where, oh, man, Hunter's going to jail and Moose gets away. And then he's, like, he kind of, like, stumbles to the ground because he's still kind of having trouble walking, but Leah's there with him. And he's, like, looking at one of the stars. And he's like,
what does it say?
It says Louise Fletcher.
Louise Fletcher, she's not a good nurse.
No.
She's not.
No, she's not.
And then the movie ends. Okay, we're gonna, is that supposed to be a punchline? Is this funny? Because it doesn't seem like how you end a drama, like a thriller movie. I don't know.
So I think, and I'm partially borrowing this theory from the Red Letter Media Half in the Bag that they did on this movie. I was like watching that a little bit, but in that, Mike was like, I think they let John Travolta improvise, and I wonder,
definitely,
I wonder if that was just one of his improvised lines, and that just made it into the final cut for some bizarre reason. Because there's a couple weird things that I noticed where I'm pretty sure it was him improvising. But did you catch that he like contradicts himself he's talking about the Maniac movies? There's a part where he says, I think she says to him, like, you're acting like a maniac, and he's like, oh, I hated that new remake of the Maniac. The original one's the best one. And then like she kind of says something back to him, and then he kind of mutters, and as he's walking away, he says something along the lines of like, the new one's my favorite one, or he contradicts what he just said. And I think there were a decent amount of like John Travolta just kind of really, really feeling his full
improv
yeah.
brain. Yeah, that's right. And there was another one where he like referenced was it when he had the at the end, like when he has Hunter tied up and he has like the Jason Voorhees mask on, and then he says like just like Michael Myers or something like that.
Yeah, because he says something about Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was like, that's the wrong movie.
Yeah,
that's
you're
the
better
wrong
than
movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, that was it. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I was like slightly entertained by him like laying in like a pool of his own blood, and then he's just like, I'm just joking. I jigsawed you.
Yeah, he goes, game over. Yeah, that's good.
I also noticed that this was dedicated to Bill Paxton, which, man, what a great movie to have like honored, like Ray Liotta and Cocaine Bear. Just like this movie is dedicated to Ray Liotta. It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and the last thing you see with Ray Liotta in that movie is him getting disemboweled by some bears. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I think it's the pickpocket, the guy that works with the like street magician. That's like his son or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I noticed that too, and I was like, why? I was like, maybe Fred Durst just knows him, but it's probably
right.
Probably part.
Yeah, and also another fun fact: the cinematographer for this movie, you actually do see him. There's like a scene where Leah is like, she's like setting up her camera and like setting the focus and like the zoom to take a picture, and he kind of comes up behind her and she says something like, "Oh, you just ruined my shot of what's his name?" Sorry, I'm looking it up right now. Cinematographer Conrad W. Hall.
Oh, okay.
And I think his dad is So Conrad W. Hall worked on like David Fincher movies.
Oh.
Panic Room and Seven.
Oh shit, okay.
But I think there's another Conrad L. Hall, who is another cinematographer who worked on like Road to Perdition. I think he's worked on a bunch of it's his son. He worked on a bunch of Sam Mendes movies.
Oh,
like he was on American Beauty, which Conrad L. Hall and Conrad W. Hall were both cinematographers on American Beauty. So it's like a father-son joint.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But that was like a weird little like a guy actually in the movie is like, oh, which is very funny to have a paparazzi being like, oh, I know what's a hot commodity for People magazine, cinematographers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little funny. I did think because there aren't any, well, I guess except for him, there aren't any like celebrities playing themselves.
Right.
They reference, they're like, oh, did you get that thing signed by Sigourney Weaver or something like that?
Yeah.
I was like, it made me think like you'd probably have to change how the ending goes maybe, but like, or not, just run with it, but just make instead like Hunter Dunbar, instead of it being someone fake, just make it a real celebrity like playing themselves. Yeah. And I think he could have had a lot of fun with that.
I mean, he's been in sort of meta movies before, but I feel like John Malkovich would have been perfect as like a celebrity that he's obsessed with.
That'd have been good. Or what I thought of, because he played himself in a movie recently, Nic Cage.
Oh yeah,
Face Off 2.
That would have been. Oh shit! Yeah, back together again. That would have been really interesting. I'm sort of surprised that there wasn't a Fred Durst cameo. I mean, other than I guess the Limp Bizkit song playing.
Yeah.
You okay with some music? You like a little Limp Bizkit?
Sure.
You like a little biscuit?
Yeah.
Yeah? Listen loud. I used to listen to this back in the day. This is hot. Oh my God, that is nice. That is nice.
Maybe
he could have been
if you
like
look
one of the first
closely.
responders or something. Yeah.
Yeah. He has like a not Tarantino. Hitchcock. Yeah, where he's just like he's reading a newspaper on the bus or something. Okay. So and that also made me giggle a little bit was the was like just how like ugly it made him like, well, everybody look, but the like Noel Fielding ass like artwork that popped up every now and then with like the violin music.
Yeah.
And every time Moose was like,
yeah. and then it almost, I think it tries to fake you out, because right near the end when it kind of cuts to him tied up in the bed, the little chalk drawing was Moose like laying in a pool of his own blood, so you're almost like, oh
yeah,
shit,
right,
is he gonna
yeah.
die? And then no, it starts out that way with him like basically jigsawing him.
yeah.
The only other part that made me laugh a little bit was like the security guard character who basically watched him almost choke out a dude, and then he's like, oh no, I'm not in trouble, are you? And the cop's like, no, you stood up for yourself. Like, there's standing up for yourself, and then there's like choking somebody.
Yeah.
But I just love that the security guard is just like, no, hell yeah, Moose. Like, he had it coming. Way to stick up for yourself. I hope Freddy Krueger kills you in your dreams, and then he cuts your head off, and then it rolls out into the street, and he gets run over by a car, and everyone sees it.
Yeah, maybe that's the real thing, is that Moose has just been like reinforced by society to be violent and to be, you know, it's all about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
That's what he's about. Yeah.
I mean, he's all about the horror movies. What was it? Night of the Living Dead. He did the We're Coming to Get You, Barbara.
Yeah. That's right. I think I felt the most seen when he's like before the party scene and he's practicing meeting Hunter.
No, I have all your VHSs and DVDs. No, everyone would say that. Think of something different.
Yeah.
You got to come up with. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty common thing, especially if you know you're going to meet someone. You're like, I got to say the one thing that will make this person think I'm cool and want to be my friend.
Yeah.
And like, ugh.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Dunbar. Come on. Okay. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Dunbar. I have every one of your VHSs and DVDs. That's like, everybody says that. Say something.
That is, I mean, I've definitely been in that situation before, but usually I don't have time. It'll just be like a random happenstance where I'm just like, oh shit, I'm meeting this person now. And I have to figure out what to say, like, in the moment, and then I usually say something dumb.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? I'm okay to move on unless you got more.
No, I had a lot of notes, but we ripped through them all, so I think I'm okay. Yeah.
This is hard. Okay. I'm not gonna say Spud, because it wasn't of that caliber of Ben and Arthur and Who Killed Captain Alex and Love on a Leash, where it was just like so bad it's good, balls to the wall, insane, just weird shit. So I guess it's a dud in that respect, but it feels weird calling it I don't know. I guess it's a dud, to be simply put, but it's a dud with an asterisk, because I think this movie is far more interesting to just be like labeled bad. I think there are bad elements. There's like, just, you know, kind of like the bad stuff is like the movie tropey stuff, like the horror tropey stuff that just kind of like doesn't really make sense. But as like, I guess a character study, I think it's more interesting in that way, especially like the way that John Travolta portrays the character. I also thought some of like the cinematography and the visuals were not especially terrible. Like there's like the scene where like Moose is sitting on the couch and like the film, like one of the movies is being like projected behind him. And like the lighting was interesting. Like it looked kind of cool. Or like even some of the shots in that final confrontation when he's like kind of crawling down the stairs and like the guy's like illuminated behind him. You know, I think it was competently shot, and it you know, it doesn't have that like bad look that bad movies tend to have too,
Right,
like, or like incompetent cinematography, like 2025, where it's clear that they just have really nice cameras and have no idea how to do anything with them other than like very static shots. So yeah, it's a dud in that sense, but it's an interesting dud that, you know, you can bury in the yard, and maybe some interesting spuds will come out of it, or it'll just be disgusting and animals will come and dig it up and eat it. So
Yeah, sure. It's a dud for me. Maybe like a kind of a dead potato that you'll plant in your garden to see if it, you know, sprouts something new. Yeah. like I said, I do feel pretty similarly to you. It's like kind of like the Glenn or Glenda situation. Where it's
yes, that's good.
It's not a spud, but it's also not like a terrible movie. If I did have to rate it, I don't know. I feel like the most proper rating is like a 5, just because it is just kind of something like that. Just because it is like just kind of right there, but it's still like I don't hate it, you know?
Yeah.
It is an interesting watch.
Yeah.
It's an interesting little flick. But it is a dud.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Going out with a whimper.
Yeah. Well, since we stopped doing the commercial break, I just don't know how to transition.
Yeah. Not the Tubi, the Anchor ad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. That'll be our campaign to get people to subscribe to the show on Spotify, so we can cut to like a Spotify ad or something like that, and then we can do the speaking of transitions again.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say we need to get enough listens so we can do a Tubi ad reads.
Oh, I wonder if we could like reach out to Tubi and try to work out something.
Yeah, can we?
Because we do prop them up quite a bit.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, Tubi,
we can't say that because then
31 people listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Although we could use our YouTube metrics.
That's true. Yeah. They'll be like, yeah, but it sounds like you guys promote us anyways, so why would we pay you?
Yeah, true.
Okay. Yeah, take it away. If I think of anything, I might mention something, but
yeah, kind of a drought right now of stuff to watch. Partially, I guess. I don't know if anything would be coming out now that's not. I don't know. I don't think there's anything like recent. I don't know how I'm trying to say this. The writer's strike. I don't know if there's like anything that would be out now but isn't because of the strike. But I feel like there's going to be like a drought of new stuff to watch for probably a while now. So like we're kind of burning through everything new that comes out. Like we just finished the Righteous Gemstones season 3, which was pretty decent. Sometimes I feel like the show goes off the rails a little bit too hard towards like kind of what it started out as, which is like like a church family mega church drama comedy. And then I don't know, I guess maybe that's just the Danny McBride effect where shit just gets out of hand and blows up in like spectacularly weird ways. They like kind of expand the lore of the show, and like they include different like families, like relatives, like, oh yeah, these are our cousins, and then they'll spend like a whole season, going over some past drama with these cousins, and then there's like some central conflict. In season 3, they had Steve Zahn as he was like one of the patriarchs of like the cousins of theirs, and he's pretty good. I like Steve Zahn. I liked him in The White Lotus when you see his prosthetic nutsack in like the first episode.
Yeah.
They put Sturgill Simpson in the 3rd season. He's like a country music, like he's like a newer country guy, but he does, I don't know, he doesn't do like shitty country, like pop country or whatever. But
I saw that guy in something recently too.
He has some chops. I think he's like a pretty good actor, as well as being like a really good musician. He did like a soundtrack album to a Netflix anime a few years ago, Sound and Fury. It's like, I don't know if it was like the samurai inspired like hard-bodied car anime, but he did like the soundtrack for this movie on Netflix. Anime. Yeah, Sturgill Simpson. Yeah.
He was in not the one that we watched for the show, but the one that came out a couple years ago, The Hunt. It was like it was like the most dangerous game, rich people hunting regular people. He played a rapper named Vanilla Nice. And yeah, so that's what it was. But he's also in 2 of like my more anticipated movies coming out this year, Killers of the Flower Moon and The Creator.
Oh,
I'm really pumped for both of those movies.
Oh, that's directed by The Creator's directed by Gareth Edwards. He I know him from The Dollop. It's like a history podcast.
Oh, I
no,
didn't
this is a different guy.
Okay, I was like, probably, because
yeah, this guy's British. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, Sturgill Simpson. I'm glad he's getting more into acting. I think he's pretty good, and like cool. he seems perfectly fit for Killers of the Flower Moon. Like that seems.
Oh
like
yeah,
total,
for sure.
Total perfect fit for him. And then we started watching Futurama, mostly because of the new season that's like currently airing, but we're like starting from the very beginning. So like I think we just watched the episode where Bender goes to hell.
Okay.
It's like he basically gets addicted to electricity, which they call jacking on, which is great. And that episode has the Beastie Boys in it. They it starts out with them going to a Beastie Boys concert, and it's all 3 of them in like their little head fish bowls.
Yeah. And
that's like a thing that I noticed with early seasons of that show is every time there's a celebrity, it is actually that celebrity like doing like Pamela Anderson was in one. I think in like the first or second episode. No, it might have been the first because it was, the New Year's Eve. That's when like Fry falls into the cryogenic chamber. But it was like Dick Clark's head, and it was before Dick Clark died, so he's actually like doing the hey, it's Dick Clark in Times Square. So I thought that was really neat. But yeah, really, really funny show. I wonder, and I think this show kind of came out. I want to see the timelines where The Simpsons got bad, and then Futurama started, and I think those timelines align. Where it's like I feel like Matt Groening probably got a little burnt out of doing The Simpsons. I think he still does both, but I think Futurama maybe was like his shiny new project that he can be like, oh, okay, I've done The Simpsons for like 10 years now at this point. This is a new thing that feels fresh, where like I can write jokes that I can try different types of jokes rather than like the same old shit that I've been doing on The Simpsons forever.
Yeah.
But that's the Futurama update. Show is good. Show is funny.
I don't know if I can rewatch like I probably will just start with the. I mean, also I've seen, at least the initial run, like so many times.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
there's some
Futurama
episodes I
was-
don't know if I want to watch again.
Oh, really?
It's not just Jurassic Park. There's
Oh,
They have some,
well,
like,
oh,
fucking
in that way.
yeah, no, in that way. There's some like fucking gut punch episodes
Oh man,
in that show.
Yeah, Jurassic Park is the big one that I know of, but I didn't know that there were more.
There's more. There's look for like the Luck of the Fryish. The Sting I think
Oh.
is pretty like that too. Lethal Inspection. That one might be from the more recent.
Okay.
run. And then anytime they do stuff with like they're really good at like the most of the time they don't like focus on it too much, but like the Fry Leela relationship, whenever they really like hone in on that, they get like really poignant, and it just makes you like, I don't know, it just kind of gets you.
I mean, I like that in a show, but I'll be excited to experience that kind of stuff for the first time, because I knew that there was like episodes like that are just like, oh, this is supposed to be fun time, boner joke show. I mean, kind of like we've been watching more Adventure Time as well, which what's his face, John DiMaggio is Jake the dog in that. And they're like in later seasons of Adventure Time, there's like 9 episode like mini arcs, like The Elements, or there's one where like they leave the land of Ooh on a ship and they go and basically find out where Finn came from. And the show episodes packed with jokes, but then there'll just be this little nugget of just like someone will say something that just or like in Adventure Time, his dad is voiced by Stephen Root, and like anytime you see Finn with his dad, like his dad is just kind of like a deadbeat who will like abandon him at a moment's notice. And there's just like a really pivotal episode where like Finn loses his arm, and he loses his arm because he's like holding on to like his dad, and like his dad gets sucked through a portal and his arm like gets cut off through it. So
Holy shit.
So yeah. There's some devastating shit in Adventure Time too. But yeah, I'm excited to catch the Futurama. Is kind of like a weirdly like comforting show for me. Like when I was in like middle school and high school, it was like right before bed, I would turn on like Adult Swim. It's like the opening, like the little laser, and then like the theme song of Futurama coming on. It's almost just like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, it's very nostalgic.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I'm watching Adult Swim in my bedroom, and I got school tomorrow. That kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that's part of the reason why I love that show so much are those like those like more emotional episodes, but I mean, I know it's the cliche choice, but it probably is Jurassic Park is still like the worst for me. That one I like. I can get teared up just thinking about it. That shit
Yeah.
just, any of that shit just kind of wrecks me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell, I mean, there was just an episode that uses and it's not like that emotional of a gut punch, but I think it was an episode where I don't know if like a planet exploded or what, but it uses the song at the end of Doctor Strangelove. We'll meet again. Don't know how, don't know where.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And like even hearing that song, like just like the way that Doctor Strangelove ends, like the whole atomic annihilation,
Yeah.
like juxtaposed with like one of those upbeat 1920s schmaltzy songs, it'll still get me.
I just think that
Vera
ending's
Lynn.
funny. I think the end
I
of
mean,
Dr. Strangelove
yeah.
is just really funny.
Oh, it's a big piece of garbage. That's what it was. The one where there's it's like a garbage barge that they shoot into the sky.
Oh, yeah,
and the
yeah,
meteor is
okay.
coming down. So they make another giant piece of garbage to shoot at it, and then it blows up.
That's right.
And then it ends with the Verilyn song.
Okay.
Oh, cool. I Googled We'll Meet Again Futurama, and someone made an edit of Jurassic Park with that song.
Oh.
Not watching that. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll report back on more Futurama as. Maybe I'll report back when I get to those devastating episodes.
Yeah.
That could be. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be a good Vault series. Just like.
Just the sad episodes.
Just horrifyingly sad episodes of like cartoon shows.
Yeah. And then we Minecraft ourselves at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I haven't really watched much. I watched Oppenheimer again.
Oh, yeah.
I watched Old, which we talked about on the show.
Did we talk about it? I
Yeah,
think you and I talked. Did we talk about it on the show?
Yeah, when we did our recap, like a 2021 recap, I think you brought it up.
Oh, but you hadn't seen it yet.
I had not seen it then.
Okay.
No. But yeah, it was good. I think
Yeah,
it was fun.
Isn't the part with like the really skinny lady in the cave horrifying?
Yeah, it is.
When she keeps rolling over herself and breaking and healing bones.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, because I think in your Letterboxd review you said you liked the way that it like kind of it played with the idea of like what would happen if like the cancer scene where they're trying to cut the tumor out of her and they can't keep the
like
wound open long
growing.
enough because it
Yeah.
heals. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, and it's like just in the time that they were like looking at it, it like grew. It was like, oh, I can feel a lump, and then it was like, oh, it's the size of a golf ball. Oh, it's the size of a softball.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I like knowing M. Night. It doesn't seem like it's taking itself too seriously. So if there's something like that that's, not taking itself too seriously, and all I need in a horror suspense thing is just explore the concept, and I think it did it in a really fun way.
And there were some sweet moments too between Vicky Krieps and her husband as they both kind of they're kind of about to like split up. They're like trying to figure out how to tell the kids.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just accept their fates, and they can't see. She loses her vision and he loses his hearing or something like that. Yeah. But they just kind of sit by each other on the beach and watch the sunrise, and it's it's kind of this sweet moment.
They do a what is it? He's like, yeah, there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here. And I was kind of like, are you sure? You sure you want to be right here on this beach? You sure?
I think that's part of the reason that I've enjoyed the last few M. Night movies is that they've been adaptations of other people's work. Mm-hmm. You still haven't seen Knock at the Cabin?
Nope, but I'm planning to.
Because the book that it's based on is pretty good. I read it after seeing the movie, and though there are definitely some like major differences between the two. Mm-hmm. I thought Knock at the Cabin, again, interesting, like playing with the idea, and again, and like Dave Bautista, like is. I don't know. I think he's really, really good in that movie, and I think Dave Bautista has a lot of range that he's not using or hasn't been tapped into, like this movie.
Yeah. I definitely want to check that one out, too. I do think it does have some of those, like, I guess Fanatic-esque, where I'm like, yeah, there's some kind of dumb shit in this too. Yeah. That's kind of there, but yeah, it's fun. There's like, what is it? Oh, like plot hole stuff. Like they say like, oh, hair and fingernails aren't affected because they're already like dead cells. But then it's like, okay, well, the dead bodies on the beach that turn, into dust, like those are dead cells,
Yeah. When she gives birth and it just like disintegrates.
That's so fucked.
That is one of the funniest reveals too, of like her being pregnant after like them because she's like 11 years old, and then like she gets up to walk towards them and she just has her big pregnant belly. They're like, oh
that's like, it's, I don't know. It's honestly, it feels like something that would be hard to pull off 100% correctly. It is like just wild and crazy. And in that sense, it is like, as all this stuff is happening, it's like it's like horrifying, but also it's kind of silly.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I had a good time. I want to like, he's one that like, he's never been like a favorite director of mine, but every time he has a movie, I'm like, I kind of want to see that. That kind of looks interesting,
Yeah.
And they are always interesting. I'll
That's true.
give them that.
Yes.
And then,
do we want to pull
Yeah.
next week's movies?
Yeah. Let's do it. So, in light of a very limited release for the 20th anniversary for a particular movie, we talked, and we're gonna do a trilogy episode next week, and that trilogy being the Vengeance Trilogy, all directed by Park Chan-wook. The movies are Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance from 2002, Old Boy, which is the one getting the theatrical re-release, from 2003, and then Lady Vengeance from 2005. I believe those are all correct. I know Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance are both on Tubi. At the very least, Old Boy is in theaters right now. So,
is it streaming on anything?
Let's see. Lady Vengeance, Pluto TV, Tubi, Plex.
Oh, okay.
Old Boy.
I think it's like iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Vudu.
Okay.
So at least...
And then Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is the same as Lady Vengeance. Tubi, Vudu, Plex. Cool. So, yeah. It's a little extra viewing, but, yeah. We can do it. So, watch them. Watch those movies if you don't want to be spoiled for the Vengeance Trilogy before next week's episode. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Spotify. I usually do the videos first, which is YouTube and Twitch in video form. And then Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. And we also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I like a little biscuit. Yeah, that's hot. Yeah. I'm TJ, and with me as always.
I can't talk too long. I gotta poo.
Oh shit.
I am Nick, and we did not have moose, but we also did have moose. We had a moose.
I can't believe we didn't talk about the poop line.
Like the first line of the movie.
Yeah. What a open with a line about poop and then end with a random non sequitur about Nurse Ratched.
Yep. Perfect. No notes. 10 stars.